He was born in Kentucky, raised in Indiana, and lived in Illinois. And this is what he said. This is what Abe Lincoln said. The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise with the occasion. As our case is new, so we must think anew and act anew. We must disenthrall ourselves, and then we shall save our country. When standing erect, he was 6 feet 4 inches tall, and this is what he said. He said, "It is the eternal struggle between two principles, right and wrong, throughout the world. It is the same spirit that says, you toil and work and earn bread, and I'll eat it, no matter in what shape it comes. Whether from the mouth of a king who seeks to bestride the people of his own nation and live by the fruit of their labor, or from one race of men as an apology for enslaving another race, it is the same tyrannical principle." Lincoln was a quiet man. Abe Lincoln was a quiet and a melancholy man. But when he spoke of democracy, this is what he said. He said, "As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master." This expresses my idea of democracy. Whatever differs from this to the extent of the difference is no democracy. Abraham Lincoln, 16th President of these United States, is everlasting in the memory of his countrymen. For on the battlefield at Gettysburg, this is what he said. He said that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, and that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Let's hear it for Bruce Morton Wright and the mighty Bemus Point Pops Orchestra, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear it for them. How you doing out there? And I don't know where he's hiding. Let's hear it for Dan Dutra, our host. Where's Dan? Dan is inside, watering the drinks and thawing out the catch of the day. Oh, there he is. Which is carp, by the way. I wanted you to know that. This was a thrill for me. I don't, we're going from the sublime to the ridiculous, but thanks for even trusting me with this wonderful piece. It was the biggest honor I've had since years ago when the mayor of Jamestown gave me the key to the city of Elmira. And so you know what happened? Last year the amphitheater Chautauqua got rid of their stage. I think I know what happened to it. They're worried about now some terrorists cutting a rope and we wind up floating past Jamestown. But I knew, see, these are little stepping stones in show business, and if you make it on a floating stage in front of the Italian fishermen, then you go on to better things. To appear live in a flatbed truck in front of guppies. Oh, what a good time we're having here. Well, we want to welcome you all. And how about this wonderful Bemus Point Navy, ladies and gentlemen? There they are. And behind us, the Bemus Point Navy. There they are, protecting our shores. In case we're attacked from Mayville. We are here, Chautauqua. You all know, of course, Chautauqua, the word Chautauqua literally means too many damn jet skis. No. The word Chautauqua, as you all know, means bag, what is it? Bag tied at the middle, that's right. Or Janet Reno in a tight girdle. Now see, when you travel around, people don't know about Chautauqua, and I think we ought to keep it that way. When I travel around and they say, oh, you mean Chappaqua? And no. I have to patiently tell them, no, I said, Chappaqua is way over on the other side of the state. And that's where Bill and Hillary Clinton bought a house so she could establish legal residence in New York and run for the Senate. That's Chappaqua, an Indian word meaning carpetbagger. The other day I met Queen Noor. You remember Queen Noor? And she was Queen of Jordan. And she has a book out, and she's all around the country, and I read her book, and I think the exciting part of Queen Noor's book is when the time her husband comes home and told her he had been unfaithful, and she said, I couldn't breathe. As a wife, I wanted to strangle it. I'm sorry, wrong book. So what if Hillary had strangled Bill, right? She's strangling Bill. And the Secret Service out in the hall hears the commotion, and they say to each other, your call. Now, next Friday, we celebrate the 125th anniversary of our great country and our democracy, which gives loudmouths like me an opportunity to stand up here without getting busted. I mean, it's the freedom we have. You can set fire to a flag in this country. We hate it. It's disgusting, but nobody's going to arrest you. You can burn the Constitution in this country, which Attorney General Ashcroft does on a regular basis. But anyway, so, and that's what I love about politics. The word politics, of course, comes from the poly, the Greek word poly, meaning many, and ticks, meaning blood-sucking leeches. It's the freedom. The freedom exemplified by two prisoners in prison. And one prisoner turns to the other prisoner and says, the food was better here when you were governor? Our founding fathers could never have imagined what life would be like in the 21st century. They couldn't possibly dream of it, of how all of the technology and all of the politics, or today where you can buy a senator on eBay, they couldn't imagine that. Little did Thomas Jefferson realize that at 227 years, his DNA would match the DNA of those who trace their roots back to Jefferson's mistress and slave, Sally Hemings. And I like to think that that means that Jesse Jackson and Jesse Helms are cousins. And we saw democracy flourishing just a few days ago, where in the Supreme Court, last Thursday, they made a decision granting full and equal protection to homosexuals in this country, and I believe that it was that decision is what killed Strom Thurmond. Either that or he was shot by a jealous husband, I don't know. Oh, Miss Strom. Seeds of democracy all over the world, cropping up in forlorn places like Iraq, where we saw the statue of that craven dictator Saddam Hussein come toppling to the ground, only be told by their Minister of Information that it was a statue of Saddam's double. So they gathered all of Saddam's doubles for a meeting. About 30 of them looked just like Saddam, his doubles. They said, we have good news and bad news. Good news first, Saddam is alive. Bad news, he lost an arm. So form a line over here and the doctor will see you. I thought they got him the time in the restaurant there. I thought for sure he had him. And they went through the rubble of the bombed out restaurant, and under the buffet table there was some pretty convincing evidence. It was Saddam's trademark black beret and cigar. So it could either have been Saddam Hussein or Monica Lewinsky. We don't know. We do know that they got his crazy cousin, what was his name, Chemical Ali, as opposed to his two psychopath sons, Uday and Kwizeh, who were said to be about 2 goats short of an orgy. And they did it over there with a coalition of the willing, 43 countries, 3 of which have an army. Guyana sent a steel drum band. Bulgaria baked a casserole. So it's a big controversy. What about the weapons of mass destruction? We don't know. I hope we find them. I like to think we find them. I really do. I think we'd find them, but I think we're going to find Jimmy Hoffa before we find those weapons of mass destruction. We already know how many chemical weapons Saddam has. We have the receipts, for God's sake. But if we went over there under false pretenses, next time we attack Iran, it's got to be for real pretenses. I really mean that. The question is, what doesn't he know and when didn't he know it? It reminds me when Ronald Reagan was president, and a reporter asked him, he said, Mr. President, he said, did CIA Director William Casey carry on covert operations without you knowing about it? Reagan said, not to my knowledge. And so that's the question. Did the president order the CIA to tell him that there were weapons over there when there were not? In other words, did they doctor the intelligence when the president had absolutely no intelligence of his own? That is the question we must worry about today. But it's too nice today to talk about these grim subjects, ladies and gentlemen. Before we start the dancing and the bingo, and Dan announces his candidacy for Mayor of BEMUS Point, I'll put 2 jokes in one. There were 2 Irishmen, and they came here, and they heard about how lovely this was, and they rented a boat, and they went to go fishing. And they go out there. I heard this from the historian of Chautauqua, Dennis Herzog. And he told me, and so they're out there. And what a day. They are catching one after another, walleye and muskie and big mouth bass and all of these things, carp, which is the catch of the day here. And they says, well, what a wonderful time we're having. What a wonderful lake this is, Chautauqua. We're catching more fish than we've ever seen in all of our lives. We got to come back. And the other one says, well, yeah, but we don't know the place. We don't know where the spot is. We said, well, that's easy. We'll just paint an X on the side of the boat. And the other one says, well, you idiot. He says, what if they rent us another boat? So they come back the next day, same 2 guys, and they're out there, and all of a sudden, a bottle washes by the boat, and there's a genie in there. There always is, and they say, well, rub the damn thing. And they rub the genie. The genie pops out, says, you get 1 wish. 1 wish, that's all you get here at Chautauqua, and you're lucky if you get that. And he said, well, let's see now. All right. One says, I want the entire Lake Chautauqua to be turned into Guinness beer. And boom, like that, the whole lake is white, sudsy foam of Guinness beer
Wow, what a thing. It is as good as beer. And the other one said, you idiot, you stupid idiot. He said, what's the matter now? He says, now we got to pee in the boat. Thank you very much, folks. The music will be back a little bit later on. Thank you.
Thank you. Great job. Thank you. Thank you. Mark Russell, everybody. Thank you.
Well, we got the first one under our belt, and I think everybody was happy. The music was balanced and nice, and I was honored to be asked to do the Lincoln portrait. My goodness, that's a little high, little uptown for me.